Welcome to The Explainer. In the world of business, uncertainty is really the only constant. Storms can pop up out of absolutely nowhere, but hey, so can those perfect tailwinds. Today, we're going to chart a course right through all that complexity. We're exploring how the best organizations navigate not just to survive, but to actually thrive. This is your guide to enterprise risk management.
Okay, let's just dive right in. And to do that, we have to start with a moment that, well, it changed everything for modern business. I'm talking about the 2008 financial crisis. It wasn't just some dip in the market. It was a massive wake-up call that echoed through boardrooms all over the world.
And all of a sudden, something that used to be kind of a background noise was front and center, lights flashing. That crisis made it painfully clear that understanding, anticipating, and actually managing all that uncertainty wasn't just a nice-to-have. Nope, it was about pure survival.
So if we're going to navigate this world, we all need to be looking at the same map, right? Which brings us to a really fundamental question. What is risk anyway? It's a word we throw around all the time, but in business, the definition is super specific, and getting it right is crucial.
To really nail it down, let's see how two of the major players define it. You've got the ISO, whose definition I just love for its simplicity. Risk is the effective uncertainty on objectives. Boom. But then you have COSO, a huge framework group, and they add another layer. They call it the possibility that events will occur and affect the achievement of strategy and objectives. Put them together and you get the whole picture.
All right, so let's strip away the jargon. Here's what you really need to get. Risk isn't just about bad things happening. It's the whole range of possibilities. Yeah, it's the threats that could totally derail you, for sure. But it's also about the amazing opportunities you might miss if you're not looking. And the most important part? None of it matters unless it's tied to what you're trying to achieve, your objectives.
Okay, so you get what risk is. Now what? How do companies take that idea and actually use it? Well, they build this incredible, comprehensive navigation system called Enterprise Risk Management, or ERM for short. And you gotta know, this isn't just some department down the hall. It's an entire philosophy for running a business. So the official COSO definition says ERM is the culture, capabilities, and practices that organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving, and realizing value. That's a bit of a mouthful, right? So what does it really mean? Think of it this way. ERM is the whole shebang. The company's culture, its tools, its everyday habits, all working together to manage risk so you can create value. And this whole framework, it's not a checklist. It's a living, breathing loop of 5 interconnected parts. It all starts with governance and culture. That's your foundation. From there, you set your strategy and objectives. Then you get into performance, where you're identifying and dealing with risks in real time. But it doesn't stop. You have to constantly review and revise. And all of this is held together by clear information and communication flowing through the whole system.
All right, so you've got this amazing system in place. What happens when it actually spots something on the radar? A storm, or maybe a lucky break? Because having a map is one thing, knowing what move to make is a whole different ballgame.
So let's get super practical for a second. Imagine you're a manager, and your system starts flashing, flagging a pretty significant risk. What are your real choices here? You can't just stick your head in the sand. You've got to make a strategic call. And really, it comes down to 4 main plays you can make. First, you can avoid the risk. Basically, just don't do the thing. Or you can reduce it by putting in new controls or processes. Third, you can share it. Think of things like insurance or partnering up. And finally, if the potential reward is just that good, you can decide to accept it. Now, here's a really important point. The goal is not to eliminate every single risk. That's totally impossible. And frankly, it would mean you'd miss out on every opportunity too. So instead, think of it like a filter. You use these responses to manage the big, scary stuff down to a level your organization can live with. And that little bit left over, that's what we call residual risk. Okay, a brilliant plan is pretty useless without a skilled crew. So that brings us to the question of who's actually steering the ship? Who really owns risk management in a company? The answer might actually surprise you.
So whose job is it? You might think it's the risk department or the chief risk officer, right? But for ERM to truly work, for it to be effective, the real answer is everyone. It has to be baked into the culture, part of everybody's job. From the top floor to the shop floor, everyone's on the crew.
Now, of course, people have specific roles. At the very top, the board of directors provides that high-level oversight. Management is on the ground, handling the day-to-day execution. You often have a chief risk officer who's like the central coordinator, the quarterback.
And then you have the internal auditor, who comes in to give that independent check that the whole system is actually working like it's supposed to. And speaking of that internal auditor role, there is one golden rule, one principle that is the absolute bedrock of their function, and it's this. Their independence is completely, 100% non-negotiable. Without it, the whole system of checks and balances just falls apart. And this is the perfect way to picture that critical line. In the green zone, you have what auditors should be doing, providing assurance, evaluating the process, giving advice. But they can never, ever cross into that red zone, which is filled with management's job, setting risk appetite, making the final call on decisions. Look, the auditors are there to check the navigation instruments. They must never take the wheel.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final thought, a question that really gets to the heart of what modern risk management is all about. Is your organization's plan just a shield, something you hide behind to fend off danger? Or is it a detailed, dynamic map that helps you navigate those dangers so you can find and seize incredible opportunities? The answer to that question really defines the future of your enterprise.